Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here with a little bit of an update to the Quill Volley build because I kind of believe that we've kind of whooped up something revolutionary for Quill Volley, and I think it's going to be probably one of the strongest builds right now for Spiritborn, and it's just absolutely ridiculous, and it's a little bit easier to gear up than the other versions of the build. To kind of show you some damage real quick, here's World or Torment for the Grigor. Oh, well, there he was. Maybe you missed it, so maybe we can do another one real quick, just to show you this is not a fluke. But you might notice something very strange about the damage numbers. I want you to pay attention to the damage numbers as the boss evaporates this time around. You might notice that is a lot of orange numbers. What's going on there? Aren't orange numbers like special? Well, yeah, so orange numbers are the critical overpower numbers. And what that means is you're both overpowering and critting together, and that is a lot of damage. Now, overpower is kind of maybe something that hasn't been in vogue lately, but it is incredibly strong now because life, how much life you have and how much additive extra life you add onto it helps determine a lot of how much overpower damage you do. And since the stat squish, life kind of got reduced a whole ton, and so we're getting a lot of life now from our gear, way more than we were before compared to our base life. So overpower is very, very strong. And then we're using Banished Lord's Talisman. This makes it so that when we spend 275 of our primary resource, my next core skill is guaranteed to overpower, and your critical strikes that overpower deal 60% increased damage. And then Kepeleke here makes it so that our core skills are free, but then when we cast them at maximum vigor, it's going to consume all of it to guarantee a crit and do a ton of damage. And so these two things combined, we can pretty much make it so that we always crit and we always overpower as long as we have enough resource and enough resource generation. So we're using like Ravager, for example, to give us more vigor generation. We're using, I have Vigorous on here. I think you could also just go and get resource generation as well, and that would work fine. And we have like stuff on the tree. Everything is working out well. But something's very strange because we don't have 275 resource right now. We only have 254. And it seems to be the breakpoint for vigor right now is 240 vigor. And as long as you have that much, you can pretty much just guarantee overpower all day as long as you are continuing to recuperate your vigor nonstop. And it's just absolutely monstrous amounts of damage. I haven't pushed it up to pit 100 yet, but I really don't think I'm gonna have any problem. We just clear through a pit 91 while like talking to chat, like not even paying attention to the boss, and it was still pretty darn quick. And the damage is only getting better. We're still missing quite a bit here, like our Rod of Kepeleke here. I think ideally you're going to want to have a GA maximum resource double tapped, and then you don't need to do any shenanigans to make it work. You do want the special unique thing here to be 3% or as close to 3% as possible because it's a big multiplier. But if you don't have a fancy Kepeleke yet, you can also get a basically free 25 resource from Elixir. So we are getting 25 here, and this is really easy to cook up for bosses. I don't really need to use this for anything besides like pushing pit 90 plus maybe, and that's pretty much it. Like even before we were using this, we were like solo carrying 4-man Antarials earlier today, and we only have 254 vigor right now. And so ideally we're gonna get this to be double tapped, and I'm pretty sure like once we get this to level 12 and double tapped, that's pretty much just it. Don't need to worry about anything else. And yeah, the gear is pretty good. We're just looking to get more armor and stuff now on our gear. Resistances are pretty much solved now thanks to Tyrael's Might, so we don't need to worry about that. Although the res stuff just kind of is way overcapped, especially because I hit the all res on the last strike of this, which is kind of unfortunate. One thing to really note though, that I noticed that my build is a little bit different, is that we are spamming the hunter a lot. I see some people doing similar builds and they're not using the hunter very much at all. And the reason we're spamming so much is because of these nodes in here. So resolution is really strong. It gives you basically 30% damage against bosses, but only for 3 seconds. So you kind of like need to pop the ult, and it gives you a huge boost. But then on top of that, Supremacy is really, really OP. Fun fact, this is actually named after one of the Bourne movies, the Jason Bourne movies, the Bourne Supremacy. And not joking, that's actually real. And what happens here with any enemies you kill while an ultimate skill is active, it grants you a stack of Supremacy, and each one increases your damage by 3% up to 30%. Then when an ultimate skill ends, you gain 5 stacks of Supremacy, but you lose 1 stack every second. So especially when you're fighting a boss, you want to try to keep your Supremacy stacks stacked as high as possible. So just spamming the Hunter as much as possible is really important. And that's why I put 5 points into this, to try to get as much Prodigy's tempo cooking as possible. And also, since we're using Intricacy, we're trying to spam out our counterattack. First allows us to keep counterattack up all of the time. Now you can't dodge everything in the game, but counterattack is going to basically remove most of the incoming damage that can come to you. Things like poison pools or the big fire explosion elite are still really scary. But yeah, for the most part, this is the tree. If you want to see all of the Paragon and stuff, you can go and check out the link down in the description down below. This build is absolutely just smoking the end game right now, and it's pretty easy to set up. And we're not using rebounding aspect anywhere, you might notice. And part of that is just because unless rebounding is on your amulet, it's pretty much only a 10% damage multiplier, unless you're somehow hitting with 3 clips of your feathers, and then that's just not very good. I'd much rather have unyielding aspect or unyielding here, and we're going to get our armor up closer to about 5,000. And a little bit extra juice here is Mr. Rahair. So Rahair is actually, I think, the best companion for us for a couple of reasons. Number one, we get armor. Armor for us right now is damage. We want as much armor as we possibly can. And then number two, we get increased damage from enemies that are taunted by Rahair. Also very good. But most importantly, when you pick the left side here, Shield Charge, it makes it so that the Mercenary's core skill changes to be the Tower Shield Shield Bash, which allows him to fortify you as a Spiritborn. And Fortify is another multiplier for your overpower damage, and this just gives you just even more juice. Now, in terms of runes real quick, I do recommend doing spending your maximum resource turns into Earth and Bulwark. This barrier helps us get our Viscous Shield bonus going really, really well. And the other thing I'm doing is cast a skill with a cooldown, which is really rather easy thanks to Intricacy. And this gives us maximum life. This seems to be pretty good so far. I have some other ideas we could possibly do. We were just doing Warcry. I don't think I've dropped one of those yet. We've gotten a lot of runes, but we haven't gotten all of them yet. Okay, we literally just dropped it. So I'll try this out and I'll report back to see if this is better. That's kind of funny. But some of them are pretty rare. I know a lot of people are looking for Lith right now so they can craft their Tyrell's Might. And some of them, just harder to find. Yeah, maybe this is the sign that we switch over to this. Although I think that proccing this off is probably going to be a lot more difficult, so might have to switch things around to keep the uptime. Getting more maximum life seems to be pretty easy, and it helps keep our life higher, which is more damage from overpowers. I'm gonna be doing a full video guide for this once we hit to pit 100 and stuff like that, but it did kind of do a day 2 update. The build is definitely absolutely bonkers insane. Like I said, you don't need a rebounding aspect anymore, unyielding hits, and all this other stuff. Oh yeah, also, by the way, you can go and temper for overpower damage, which has the highest additive damage. So we're just getting even more juice into the build. And yeah, check out the video or the build link down below the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We'll see you soon.